this is just a little experiment to see if I can do a little video podcasting. Oh, I would like to have a big cup of some sort, because I like the blogging heads. You ever watch Mickey Kouse in the blogging heads blog, or whatever he calls it? He'll sometimes take a big drink out of a big cup, and it's highly amusing. But I don't have a cup here. I don't have a glass of wine because it's daytime and I'm in my office. This computer is in my office, and but to the substance. Enough of that. Sorry, I don't have a cup. Sorry, I don't have something amusing here to do other than put on these. You like them? Blue glasses. I thought I'd talk about this post today, which is my shortest post, called A Response. Eugene Volokh responds to my "Oh please." And I didn't even have any comments on it for a while. Meanwhile, over at his blog, Volokh Conspiracy, where he's talking about me, he's got, what does he have, like 48 comments on his post. Okay, so what's going on here? Why is everyone all commenting over there and not commenting over here? I mean, I know he's got more traffic than me. Does he have a higher IQ than me? This is about IQ, that's the only reason I bring it up. I know he's got more traffic than me, but I still got some traffic. And he's probably got a higher IQ than me, but I've still got some IQ. So I'm going to try to engage in this, this battle of wits, or will, or whatever. See, I think it's more will. He thinks it's more wits. So it's all about this whole thing about the differences between the sexes, or some people like to say between the genders. But he's talking about biology, so I think sexes is the right word. And I'm sort of, but the ridiculous context of it all is Supreme Court clerks. All right, now if you were going to do a scientific experiment, and I hear tell that the boys are better at science, but if you were going to do a scientific experiment, you should start with a sample selected with some sort of a scientific basis. And the sample we're talking about here is people who become Supreme Court clerks, right? So you're talking about people who happen to go into law, happen to go into, to make choices about where to go to law school, what to do with their law school careers, and how to go about structuring their ambitions such that they end up on the track that gets them to the Supreme Court. And a lot of hoops you have to jump through. I don't personally jump through them myself. I don't know a whole lot about how you do it, but it's a very particular path that one takes. It's not just a final IQ test. I mean, even if you believe IQ tests, and obviously people challenge IQ tests, but even if you believe IQ tests, the idea that getting to be a Supreme Court clerk is an IQ test, well, I tend to think that the biggest geniuses don't go into law in the first place. I think if you're too smart, in fact, law will just drive you crazy, because you have to put up with so much that doesn't quite fit together, and kind of devote your life to kind of hoping to try to make things fit, sort of. But anyway, so let's get into this. I initially started talking about him. So if we go over to my post, I said, what's with all the male Supreme Court clerks? Eugene Volokh asks, why are there so many more male Supreme Court clerks than female? His first guess is the cause possible differences in innate intelligence at the tail end of the bell curve, what I'd heard called the idiot genius syndrome, which leads men to be overrepresented both among the very low IQ and the very high IQ. And I said, oh please, I know it's in question form, but really. And he reacted to that. And I have some more here which I may go back to. I mean, I don't just stop there. I don't just say, oh please, don't talk about that. I say, obviously, you have to be very smart to make it to Supreme Court clerk, but the behavioral requirements to make it to that position are extremely demanding. Oh, by the way, why isn't Althouse putting on the glasses she said she needed? This is a sign of how vain Althouse really is, that somehow I'm able to see because I don't want to be on camera wearing my glasses. I really don't see that well. So this is a testimony to my vanity, as well as my my eyesight being maybe better than I think it is. But I could help it along by doing this. That seems too strong. I'm getting used to the blurry letters. And this sort of maybe shows why I'm better in law, because in fact things are pretty blurry, and you get used to, it's sort of like being able to accept seeing without glasses, right? Because you're looking at something that's quite fuzzy and you're just dealing with it. You're accepting it. That's sort of the mindset that works well in law, I think. Okay, so I don't know precisely what one needs to do or not do to make it to Supreme Court clerk, but I have observed some things. Then I start talking about the recruitment of law profs. That's not really needed to talk about here. I guess I didn't really talk about my theory all that much. Maybe I talk about it in the comments. There's a lot of comments to that older post, and I do. It gets sidetracked into this question about law school appointments and whether Supreme Court clerks do well in the law school appointments process when they have this glorious, credential. Do they actually turn out to be the kind of people that will be seen as good candidates for law professors? And that's all about how I think there are behavioral differences between the kind of people that get accepted into this track where judges approve of them and want to work in close contact with them, and where Supreme Court clerks will see them as the kind of people they want working as their close, intimate assistants. It's not really the same as being a law professor where you're very much on your own and you don't let anyone tell you what to do and you're not subservient to anyone. At least I'm not. But anyway, so if we go back to, let's see, where is it? Eugene Volok's post today, he comments on me commenting on him. Are we a little inbred here? A little too inbred. It might be bad for our IQ to be so inbred, That'll make you an idiot. But him commenting on me commenting on him. He says, perhaps I misunderstand Anne's reason for the "oh, please." Still, I'd have thought that when one is seeking the causes of disparities such as this, the possibility of men's biologically caused overrepresentation at the tail ends of the IQ bell curve must be one candidate explanation that one should consider, even if the effect is relatively small, too small to explain by itself a 2.5 to 1 disparity. Just to use as an example, the disparity the year I clerked. See, he clerked, I didn't, so, he's a guy, I'm a female, so really, he must, whatever that means. It means it's too small of a sample for it to be scientific to use, but he knows that. But why not consider it? Why not speculate about it? Why not? I can think of a pretty damn good reason not to speculate about it, because it's harmful to speculate in that area. It's not helpful, it's not good. If you had some really solid research, maybe you could start with a hypothesis based on what you'd observed and do something scientific to observe. But to just speculate openly that maybe women are intellectually inferior to men it's really not cool. It's really not helpful. And there's so many other factors involved that why do this? Why go for this? I mean, I'm not saying Eugene is a bad person for bringing this up, and I'm not going to pillory him over this. I'm just saying I don't think it's cool. I don't think it's a very good idea. Back to Volok's post. He says, and I think that any analysis that infers some cause or estimates the magnitude of some cause from the disparity but fails to consider this other possible cause would itself be unsound. 1213 comments. Wow, Eugene, you're getting all the comments. I did a post linking to this and no one's saying a word. Imagine if you'd offered up the biological theory to explain the racial disparity in Supreme Court clerks. I think then the uncoolness of speaking in those terms would have come across really clearly